Hey there hunters, Lord here, back with another Monster Hunter Wilds set video. In lieu of all of the issues and confusion about the different skills here in Monster Hunter Wilds, I wanted to go ahead and crank out the current endgame sets that I'm using with the knowledge that we now have after all the different patches. In today's video, we're going to be covering the inset glaive, as there have been some changes overall to the set. Some of it stays roughly the same, so you'll see a few things that look similar to my original inset glaive video. However, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into the video. So first of all, let's go ahead and talk shop about Artian weapons. With all three of these sets, we'll be hitting high enough affinity that we don't need any affinity on our inset glaives. However, you might want some, but ideally you'll be wanting to go for 7 total attack between your relics and upgrade, and probably 1 sharpness. However, if you're killing stuff fast enough that it dies before you even drop into blue sharpness, you could definitely drop 1 of the sharpness and just go for 3 attack relics and 5 attack upgrades. As of right now, I would highly recommend going for raw inset glaive, as element really isn't all that good, especially against endgame monsters. So I would recommend things like blast, poison, or paralysis. Really, the choice is up to you and what you like. However, the upgrades that you will need should remain the same across all of these raw weapons. So I've prepared 3 sets for you guys. The first will be our meta, more DPS style set for a little bit more of a speedrun setup. If you're playing solo and you're clearing things in under 2 minutes or around the 2 to 3 minute mark, then this set will probably end up dealing the most damage overall. We then have a more general use set, so if you're playing things like multiplayer or if your quests are taking a little bit longer, that one will be better for those long-term hunts, 4+ to about 10 minutes or more. And then the final set will be a Flayer, more comfort style set with some extra lifesteal, and we will talk a little bit about what we've learned about Flayer since the recent patch in that set. With all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the first set, which is our endgame DPS set. Of course, the inset glaive is going to be the Artian inset glaive at rarity 8. We slot this in with a flight/handicraft jewel, or really any flight/combination decoration that you prefer. Then a critical jewel 3 and a critical jewel 2. Now the reason we go for flight is it gives us the skill airborne, which is plus 10% to all of our aerial attacks, and rising spiral slash, inset glaive's strongest move, and probably the strongest overall move in the game in terms of single move motion value. A 10% damage increase. Now we're not going to be using our other aerial attacks very often because this set is dependent on max might. So aerial attacks, of course, use up our stamina, so we'll lose the max might. But because rising spiral slash spam is the highest damage way to play inset glaive, the airborne skill massively boosts that, and we will be using it. As far as the armor goes, we have 4 pieces of Gore Beta: the head, the arms, the waist, and the legs, with the Belango chest beta and the Ambush Charm 2. For decorations, you will need a Chain Jewel, 3 Mighty Jewels, 2 Earplug Jewels, an Ambush Jewel, and 2 Sane Jewels. All in all, this gives us crit boost level 5, so our normal hits deal 100% damage, regular crits with no crit boost do 125% damage, but with crit boost at level 5, critical hits will deal 140% damage. Ambush level 3 gives us plus 15% attack for 30 seconds after performing a sneak attack, and this is just a insane damage increase. It's effectively free offensive guard for 30 seconds at the beginning of the fight, but with this skill being in here, you have to be killing monsters very quickly, around 2 to 3 minutes, in order for this to be worth it over the next set. We then have max might level 3, so if our stamina is full, we have 30% bonus affinity. Constitution 3 comes on the set, but is pretty nice as it means we'll use less stamina when dodging, allowing us to have more maximum might uptime. We then have antivirus at level 3, and this couples in with Gore Magala's Tyranny, which you can see in the top left. At 4 pieces of the Gore Magala set, we get Black Eclipse level 2. What this does is anytime we are in combat with a large monster, it automatically inflicts us with the Frenzy and gives us plus 10 raw attack. With antivirus, by continually attacking the monster, we're able to get rid of the frenzy faster, which takes that plus 10 raw attack and turns it into plus 15 and gives us a total of plus 25% crit. So that is an extremely nice setup here and is pretty solid overall for most weapons, but inset glaive especially, with how fast and often it hits. Vade Window 2 comes through with the set. Agitator level 2 is nice for a little bit of extra damage and crit. Earplugs level 2, when coupled with our triple buff, Allows us to negate pretty much every roar in the game, I believe. It might be every roar in the game. Haven't tested it for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's every roar in the game. Airborne, we already talked about. Handicraft is on my flight / combination decoration, giving us 10 extra units of white. Coalescence level 1, when we clear the frenzy, will give us a little bit of extra status, but it's not a huge deal. Burst at level 1, much like in Sunbreak, is just a very efficient way to get some bonus raw. I believe it's +8 at level 1. And then we of course have flinch free level 1, but you could also tack in shockproof into the empty level 1 slot in the helmet if you so desire. However, if you're going to be using this setup in multiplayer, I'd highly recommend the next set, as you probably won't be killing stuff fast enough, or your teammates might steal the sneak attacks from you, thus completely negating the entirety of the ambush skill. The main idea for these sets is to couple them with the Corrupted Mantle. It's the best mantle in the game. If you're not using it, you really should be. But effectively, we have 65% affinity with all our skills active and the 5% on the weapon. Corrupted Mantle starts out at +10 affinity, but by continually attacking the monster, this goes up to +20% affinity, taking us to 85% affinity everywhere with no need for weakness exploit, making this a very solid set for dealing a ton of damage very quickly. However, if you are not killing stuff extremely quickly, I would definitely recommend the second set that we have here today, where we drop Ambush in favor of Agitator, as Agitator will have a little more uptime over the course of those longer hunts. While it may not be a flat +15% attack boost like we have from Ambush, it does last a lot longer than 30 seconds, as monsters are enraged for quite a bit here, giving us a bonus 20 raw attack and 15% crit. Again, if we throw on the Corrupted Mantle and continually attack the monster, we get around 95% crit everywhere on the monster, and again, we do not need weakness exploit at all. The final set is built around Flayer. Now, Flayer is not as good as it was in early access since the first weekend patch that nerfed it. However, according to Capcom, who replied directly to the guy who is doing all of our testing, it is working as intended. But basically, wounds have a hidden health bar. Once you deal enough damage, they turn into those white scars, and when you deal enough again, they turn red. Flayer increases our wound damage by 20% when it activates. Now it roughly activates like a status, so you may see some white spark-like things around your hit when Flayer does activate. There's also a status-esque build-up that results in an explosion of Flayer damage, which I talked about in my all skills video. The explosion deals a set amount of damage depending on your Flayer level. Again, that is covered in my all skills video, which I'll leave a link to in the top right. The main issue that led a lot of people to believe that Flayer was broken is that Flayer does not activate on all attacks. Now, Capcom have admitted themselves that they were very vague on how this worked, and they're looking to update the skill description to make it a little bit more easy to understand in a future update. However, on Insect Glaive, the only two attacks that Flayer does not work on are our Strong Descending Slash and Rising Spiral Slash. Now again, these are two of our hardest hitting attacks. However, you will be using your normal attacks a lot during your regular combos to build up both your Kinsect extracts and to get to your Strong Descending Slash and your Rising Spiral Slash. So overall, while this set might not be quite as high damaging as the others, if you're really looking to create wounds just a little bit quicker so you can get your extracts back faster, as well as a decent bit of comfort from the lifesteal from the 2-piece Guardian Arkfeld set, then this could be the setup for you. Again, we're going to be rocking with our Artian Glaive. Now, I did change the decorations here because if you're using this, chances are you want a little bit more of a comfortable approach. So instead of a Critical Jewel 3 and a Critical Jewel 2, I instead threw in a Razor Sharp / Handicraft Jewel. However, with this set, we do reach 100% crit, so if instead of a Razor Sharp Handicraft Jewel, you wanted to go for a Master's Touch Jewel, that will save you a little bit more sharpness overall, so you could definitely feel free to toss that in instead. The head is the Guardian Arkfeld Help Beta with a Mighty Jewel. The level 1 jewels that you see empty anywhere in this set are totally up to your choice. You could go for Shockproof, you could go for Adapt, you could go for Divine Blessing. Again, totally up to you. We then have the Gore Male Beta Chest. I personally like a Throttle Jewel here, as it's much easier to activate Latent Power here in Monster Hunter Wilds. You only need to be in the quest for 2 minutes in order to activate it, as opposed to 5 in some of the previous games, or just get hit a few times. We then have the Guardian Ebony Adogeron Braces Beta with a Mighty Jewel, the Guardian Arkfeld Coil Beta with another Mighty Jewel, then the Gore Greaves Beta with a Throttle and 2 Sane Jewels. Again, if the throttle jewel just isn't for you, you could definitely throw in something else, but the additional 20% crit is extremely nice here, and the additional 30% stamina depletion reduction is also very nice for helping keep max might up, so that's why I opted for it here. And we'll of course finish out the set with the Chainblade Charm 2 to finish out all 5 levels of Flayer. So for our total skills, this gives us Flayer at level 5. For a slightly easier time in creating wounds. Again, it's not as good as it was pre-first weekend patch, but it's still usable, and creating those extra wounds will allow us to use the 2-piece Guardian Arcveld set bonus, which is Decimator 1, where every time you destroy a wound, you get some health back. You're going to be breaking wounds anyway in order to get your triple extract immediately, so you might as well have this if you like a little extra comfort on your sets. We then have Critical Boost 3, which takes our critical damage from 125% to 134%. If you're craving a little more damage like we talked about, you could bump this up to Crit Boost 5 instead of Razor Sharp or Master's Touch. We then have Max Might at level 3 for that 30% extra affinity while our stamina bar is full. Antivirus level 3 again works with the 2-piece Gore Magala set bonus, Black Eclipse 1. Now the Black Eclipse 1 does not give us any extra attack. However, it does still inflict us with the Frenzy, allowing us to use Antivirus to get rid of the Frenzy faster and get that plus 25% extra affinity. Handicraft level 2 just comes on my combination decorations. You may or may not have this depending on what you want to go with. Evade Window level 2 comes free with the armor. Latent Power level 2, like we already talked about, 20% extra crit, 30% stamina depletion reduction. Just a very nice skill to have overall. Airborne we talked about earlier, but it's 10% extra damage on our aerial attacks, and Rising Spiral Slash is included. Partbreaker included with the set. Burst level 1 for that extra 8 damage. It's very efficient and easy to slot in. We then have Divine Blessing 1 and Flinch Free 1 to round it off, and then whatever you decide to fill in those empty level 1 decorations with. So that's it for this one, guys. Hopefully I did give you a nice spread of options here for Inset Glaive. You have some good DPS options, whether you're being extremely efficient or speedrunning, or if you're just trying to play with friends but also deal a ton of damage, or if you want a little more comfort. We should have pretty much everything you guys could ever need for Inset Glaive here. If you're looking for some more Inset Glaive sets, I have a Master Mounter set over on my original Inset Glaive video that you could definitely go check out. If you did enjoy today's video, be sure to drop a like down below to support it completely for free and to let YouTube know to give it a boost in the algorithm. If you're new to the channel, new to Monster Hunter, or if you like set guides just like these, I'm going to be doing all sorts of updates for the different weapons that I've covered already on the channel, since we now are significantly more informed on what skills are bugged, what are actually working but just differently, etc, etc. So if that sounds appealing to you, or if you like just other guide content, informative content, or tutorials for Monster Hunter Wilds, then definitely consider subscribing to the channel. Again, it is also completely free, and you're always welcome to change your mind later if you're finding the content just isn't for you. With all that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I wish you all a good day and happy hunting.